Okay.
Got it.
So we'll do another very warm welcome if you're joining the replay. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Celia Barsby, and I am going to also add the spotlight of my beautiful friend and mentor, my business mentor, Katrena Friel, without whom I would not be here today doing this and talking to you. So Katrena and I were having a conversation about a lot of the ladies that that I come across in the work that I do, who are a little cautious of taking that next step to say, you know, we've got the certificates. Put your hand up. Give me a wave if you have got certificates. To say, yeah, you go, oh yeah, we've got the certificates. Woo-hoo. And then we go, and now what am I going to do them? Oh, well, I'm not quite sure. And I was on the verge of doing another thing that I could get another certificate for. Fortunately, I met Katrena just in time to actually go, you know what, let's start doing something with these certificates and really getting our work out into the world. So without further ado, I'm going to share, and I'll show you this, partly because I just love all the graphics. So I have Katrena to thank for a lot of the beautiful artwork and for encouraging me on this. And of course, my journey started with the garden party. My beautiful baby here, who, if you can see me as well, always wants to be seen. And the garden party had been sort of, you know, bubbling away, but with the support of Katrena, this really has enabled me to focus on my message. And it gave me permission to be my authentic, slightly rebellious, and definitely quirky self. And so that really is my invitation to you. And we're going to get started on this journey. So what you will need for this little exercise here is you will need, because this is interactive, I'm really sorry, I'm going to make you work. So I don't know what time of day it is, but you know, you don't come to anything that I do and sit there sort of, you know, those of us who've been on Zoom, you know, with screens off and, you know, I will admit, I will confess, here we are, here's my authentic confession. I confessed to a business meeting when I was in the world of education, when I actually sat and gave myself a pedicure when we were on Zoom. So don't tell anybody. What you're going to need for this little exercise is just spot like piece of paper, and if you've got a journal, that works absolutely fine. It's better if you've got a journal that you can write right across, but if you haven't, you know, you go with what you want. So piece of paper, and I'd like you to fold it in half. Okay, so what we're talking about at the start of the journey is really, you know, where are you now? Because if you're going to go on a journey, and we're going to take you on a journey in the next hour and a bit together. When you are going on a journey, there's two things you need to know. One is you need to know where you are now, but the really important thing is to know where you want to go. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And of course, the first thing that happens as soon as we start say to our, you know, our subconscious, right, this is what we're going to do, we immediately create barriers. And that's what you've just done. You have just created a barrier down the center of your page. And what we're going to do in this little activity is show you how you can cross that barrier. So just give me a wave, give me a thumbs up if you've got your piece of paper or you've got a journal that's got that. Beautiful. And then what I'd like you to do, I've got mine on card, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a heart shape, you know, the traditional heart like that, across the middle of your page. Okay, in any color you like. Now, the other thing to say about this is you can't get this wrong. Anything you do, anything that comes into your journal or onto your page is absolutely perfect. There is only one rule to start with, and that is Keep your heart space clear. And I love that invitation, because actually that's what we're asking you to do in this whole webinar, is just to keep your heart space open, keep it clear, and receive anything that wants to come in. So I'm not going to show you what the rest of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to hide my heart for a moment. And what I'd like you to do is, I would like you to imagine that you're going on a journey, and I'd like you to write the word start somewhere on your page. Now, as I said, not in the heart space, but anywhere else on your piece of paper or in your journal. So it can go anywhere. You can't get it wrong. This is your subconscious is starting to talk to you. If you fancy, you know, you might want to doodle around it, you might want little bubbles around it, or whatever you feel like doing by that word start is absolutely perfect. And then I'd like you to write the word destination, and nobody's going to check your spelling. If you want to write end, that's fine. If destination feels a bit much at 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, your destination is, where do you want to go? Because have you noticed, when you're going on a journey, the first thing your sat nav wants you to put in is actually, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? It asks you that first. Sat nav equals GPS. There we are. I've learned some new vocabulary in my time. So where do you want to go? And so by that word destination, I would like you to think about, where do you want to be on your life journey? And we'll sort of go 6 months to a year. We're not going to plan the whole, you know, world tour, entire gap year experience. So in about 6 to 9 months, 6 months or a year maybe, how do you want to feel? Now, whenever you know, this is a visioning exercise, but whenever I do anything like this, I'm not very good at seeing, you know, the finished picture. I go, oh, I want to feel green. I want to feel purple. Sometimes I get color rather than words and images. You might get a symbol. But try and think about, you know, if you imagine yourself in your dream life, in your dream business. I know lots of you here have got fledgling businesses that, you know, you've started, or you're on the edge of wanting to create that. So how does that feel in your body? Maybe where does that feel? Where do you feel that in your body? So some words, some symbols. Again, you know, it might be a little emoji face. Put that somewhere around destination. And then just put your hand on your heart and just go, right, okay, I can see where I want to go. Now, where am I? Where am I starting from? So now do a similar sort of exercise around, how are you feeling now? Maybe a color, maybe a symbol, maybe just an emoji face. What are you feeling in your body right now? You know where you want to go. You've put it in there. You've put in your destination. Where are you starting from? I'll just give you a minute to do that. Okay. Give me a thumbs up, or if you need more time. Okay. So just while you're doing that, I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to go on a journey. And the sort of analogies that I like to use is, you know, are you sitting in your car ready to go? Are you sitting in your car on the side of the road broken down because you run out of fuel? Are you actually sitting on your sofa thinking about getting in the car? Are you sitting in your sofa imagining you are actually in your car and doing the journey and going, oh yes, as a child, did you ever do that? Did you ever sit in a chair? You know, you sat on a car and, you know, sat and you pretended you were driving. You pretended you were doing the journey. So be really super, you know, super honest, be authentic with yourself. Where are you now? How are you feeling? And now let's start planning this journey. The first thing I always do if I'm going on a real journey is work out what time I need to make my bacon sandwiches, because you can't go on a journey in the UK if you haven't got bacon sandwiches. Okay, that's just, you know, that's just a thing. Bacon sandwiches and chocolate limes to eat on the way. So you need to get resourced. You need to get the car filled up. You need to get your supplies. And then you discover, oh, I haven't got any bacon. But what am I going to do? Because I haven't got those resources. So start again with a word somewhere on your page. You've got start, you've got destination somewhere. Write the word plan. What do you need to get from the start to your destination? Have you packed? Have you packed your bags? Have you got the things that you need? And then I'd like you to think, especially if you are somebody who is sitting on the sofa thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, I don't even know how I'm going to get in the car to do this. Think about what's stopping you getting in the car. Think about what's preventing you from actually moving. Think about, you know, I've had times when I was in the car and I just ran out of fuel. I ran out of steam. I ran out of oomph. And I sat at the side of the road thinking, oh, now what am I going to do? So think about the things that resources you need, supplies you need, and what prevents you from actually accessing. What stops you going to the shops and buying the bacon? Maybe you need permission. Maybe you need somebody to say, it's okay, you can get in the car. So start jotting some words and symbols down there as you start to think about, what do you need? Okay. This is an exercise, you know, you'll get the recording. So this is an exercise that you can do and take longer over this. So we're whizzing through it quite quickly in this webinar. And then I'd like you to write somewhere else on the page. Remember, we're keeping our heart space clear. I'd like you to write the word promise. You've done a quick look at where you are now and where you want to be and how you're going to get there. And the invitation is to make yourself a promise, which is going to be around putting your plan into action. Have a look at those things that were stopping you. What do you need to promise yourself? What's the one next step that you can take to actually move on this journey? And the invitation is to take that promise and write it in the center of your heart. So in the center of your heart space, you write the words, I give myself permission to. The invitation to is not to overthink this. Just go with, you know, you feel it in your gut. What's your heart telling you? And what you have created is an affirmation really for this workshop, but you can, you know, this is what you've promised yourself. Now I'm going to hand over to Katrena, because when we, you know, this is what we're weaving together here is very much the inner work that we do, but also as Katrena and I started, you know, chatting and talking to each other about this, we went, well, this is what we do in business. What's the business analogy that we've just done in the start of the journey? So Katrena's going to talk to us about SWOT.
Well, this is how I start the journey with my clients. We start with a SWOT analysis. And for those of you who don't know what a SWOT analysis is, I want you to grab a piece of paper I want you to write down 4 headings. The first one is your strengths. So write down your strengths. We probably don't have time for you guys to do it all right this second, but let's set you up so that you can do it without us interrupting your thinking. But I'll give you a couple of tips as we go along. So write down your strengths, write down your weaknesses, but I don't love that word. I like the word challenges. So here and now, let's change SWOT to Scott and put down our challenges. And that's very similar to what, the plan of attack. What resources do you need that Celia was talking about? So have a think about your challenges ahead. And then the next thing to do is opportunities, opportunities. And quite often, anything that you wrote in weaknesses and challenges is an opportunity to learn and grow. So put down your opportunities from that perspective. So if you wrote down, I need better communication, better computer skills, let's just say, in your challenges, it's your computer skills, then it's an opportunity to learn and grow, to learn about computers or to learn about social media or to learn about whatever. And then the final one is threats. Now, you don't have to do much work there because threats, there's just one threat, and that is technology. So what happens, and what I find with people that I work with, is that technology might have got ahead of you. And in business, as you can see, to run a business these days, you need some technical skills. Everything's run on, mobiles, iPads, laptops, desktops. Everything's digital now. Everything literally is digital. So you want to put down in threats technology. And I'd like you to make a promise that you'll never let technology get away from you. Always stay interested, always stay curious, and always stay respectful of technology, because saying that you hate it and you're not interested in it doesn't help you. And so if you come in with that attitude, you'll find that technology will be a bit of a bore to you. But what we want to do is lift your interest in technology and make a commitment to say, let's use technology to help me, not hinder me. So coming back to strengths, what you're going to do is you're going to write down your strengths. But guess what? You're all so humble and so modest. You probably can't even think about what's a strength of mine. So I want you to really encourage yourself to be generous, really generous with yourself, because it's just between you, me, and the goalposts. You can really open up about your strengths and be honest. Because in business, we have to have some level of self-belief. And this is my way of getting my clients to really see what their strengths are. And it's a way of building confidence right off the bat. So do this exercise and keep adding to it day after day as you think about it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a workbook that's a cheat sheet. So you'll be able to see all the strengths that I like to see in my clients, and you can take them. So you don't have to do a heap of thinking. You can just often look at that list and go, oh, I've got that one. Oh, I've got that one. Oh, that's a good one. And if it doesn't sit in strengths and you want to put it in your challenges, that's fine too. I'm just going to give you a cheat sheet to get you started so you don't have to overthink it. But please, the main problem here is that you're too humble and too modest to say that I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I have this experience, I have that experience. So really now's not the time to be modest when you're doing a SWOT analysis. I want you to really open up and, I don't know, just be generous with yourself. Generous with yourself.
I love that because I had to really practice. I struggle with this. And I, when as we were talking, that, I talk about speaking your truth but we weren't taught to do that. We weren't taught to say, hey, you know what, I'm really good at whatever it is. And as you do that SWOT analysis, as you start to see, the things that you're good at, you go, well, actually, I'm quite good with, and then you build that confidence. And I think we're somewhere along the line, we were taught to focus on the things we couldn't do rather than things that we can do and that we can do well, and say, hey, you know what, I'm really good at that. And it just takes a little bit of practice. For me, the opportunities are sometimes the strengths that we've not been allowed to claim. So, you know, creativity was one that I took a while to be able to say, oh, hey, you know what, I'm creative. That was a big one for me. And I think I talk about celebrating your wins when we were talking about, you know, the strengths part of the SWOT analysis. And I love the SCOT. I mean, we look at those strengths and challenges. I would love to invite everybody to put a strength in the chat. Just try, just be brave and put one of your strengths. And what will happen is somebody else go, oh, well, I'm quite good at that, because you're allowed to magpie. I mean, Katrena's going to send you an amazing list. Willing to speak up, fabulous, yes. And how often, you know, were we told as children not to speak up, to be quiet? So, you know, overcoming that curiosity, yeah, beautiful. Dedication, awesome. Helping others, having a vision, being a deep listener. This is just feel the chills as we start to claim the things that we are really good at. And we get to celebrate that with each other. Celebrate, you know, those every word that you write down as a strength. Beautiful. Is there anything you want to add to that, Katrena?
No, that's wonderful. It's just to get you started today, and I promise you the cheat sheet will give you lots of fodder to play with. And thank you for playing. That's really brave to put it out there.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are trained not to be the tall poppy. And remember, SWOT analysis is private. You never show it to anybody. It's just between you and the universe, or you and your coach, or you and your mentor, whatever. But it's a great exercise to get you warmed up so that you really understand, if you are going to build a business, what it's going to be built around, and that is your strengths.
Awesome, awesome. Now we're as I say, we're sort of racing through. There's so much that we want to tell you and share with you. And the next sort of section is all about really focusing on your vision and what you want to bring to the world in your, because I still remember saying to Katrena, said, well, what do you want to do then, Celia? What do you want to do? I want to help people. And you go, well, everybody wants to help people. I went, oh, okay. So this section is all about, I talk about finding your magic within, finding that treasure chest of wisdom. And, you know, if you've got a treasure chest, you probably buried it somewhere, or somebody's told you that you're not allowed to play with it. You've put it somewhere and you can't find it. And that treasure chest, when in Garden Party, I talk about helping you find the treasure chest in the first place. Got a beautiful meditation, which we haven't got time for in this session, but we're going to share with you at the end how you can access that, of how you can experience a guided visualization of finding your treasure chest and actually opening it up. But from a business perspective, and this is I think this is one of the key bits that really allowed me to shift my perspective about business, was when Katrena talked to me about vision statements. So Katrena, over to you.
Okay, so the next step in my process after we've done the SWOT analysis is we start to think about what vision statement do we want to create. And from the SWOT analysis, you'll find all the clues are often in there, especially for me as a business mentor. I'll see what people are good at and straight away start to get a sense of what the vision is going to be. But we design a vision statement that is what I call public. So it's something that you would use if you landed on a website. There's the vision statement, and now I know I'm in the right place or the wrong place. Do I want that vision or I don't want that vision? So I want you to have a think about creating your vision statement, and I'm going to give you a bit of a, I don't know, in the workbook that I'm going to send you, I give you a bit of a sentence starter so that you can get going with it. And what I find the problems are with people is it's not specific enough. People say something like helping you to create a better life. That doesn't say anything. Do you see? So we want you to be as specific as possible. And I'll just bring up on screen a bit of an example so that you can see what we're talking about when we think about vision statements. They're not big, but we do what's the word? We do sort of do a number of drafts, if you know what I mean. So you might do a real clunky one to start with, and then you'll start to sort of craft it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. I'm just coming up with it right now. Here we go. I'll just share screen so that you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So you're going to get this in your workbook. And I want you to start with to create a blah, 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 specializing in blah, 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 for who? Question mark. So to create a something, specializing in something, for who? And here's what it might end up looking like. Here is an example. I'll just try and see if I can make that a bit bigger for you. Here. I might just pop that in the chat so that you can have an example of that. There you go. To create a global education platform specializing in personal development for women who want to change the world. Now, I wouldn't allow that through. I'd actually keep working on that, but that just gives you a bit of an idea of how the sentence will end up looking structurally. And when you work with Celia or you work with myself, it won't matter, because that vision will get crafted and crafted and crafted until, boom, you'll feel it in your body. What will happen is you should read it and get tingles. I often read it out for my clients and say, is this it? And they go, oh yeah, my body is just ignited. And in fact, my body gets ignited. That's how I know we're done, because it's like, oh, my body's really, really sparkly. And then we move on to the next sort of little bit. But that just gets you started. Have a go at vision statement, but you don't have to have it perfect yet. Just, you know, when we get off this call, have a think about what's your SWOT analysis, what's your vision statement, and start to work out which part are you going to work on? What vision do you have for yourself? Over to you.
I mean, mine started as clunky as that. You know, I think I use that that structure of those sentences. You know, the fill in the gaps, because if you're in education, you know, things that you go, oh, you mean I haven't got to create the whole sentence? I've just got to put some words in, and then you start sort of playing and creating and crafting that, so that I had mine at, here's one I prepared earlier, so that actually what my vision statement of what you will see whenever you see anything that is on my website or you're working with me is: welcome to your soul's garden party, a creative lifestyle giving you permission to discover your authentic, rebellious, quirky self, reawakening to your soul's purpose. Can you see that you know, that's what we've used at the start of this webinar, but that is my vision statement, and that is what is seen. So that was super helpful to work with Katrena on actually, you know, unpicking it and going and playing and crafting, mixing all the ingredients.
And then we wouldn't have got there without the SWOT analysis. So no. Just so you know, do not miss the SWOT analysis. Yeah. Go deep on that, because all the clues will be in there.
Yeah.
Rebellious, quirky. That was all in Celia's strengths.
And moving on. Well, yeah, it was that point that I discovered that actually I don't want to do things the same as everybody else. So when you combine these, when you look at, you know, what is your magic, what is your wisdom that you get to bring to the world, and then you craft that in this business language, if you like. I talk next about creating your magic. As I work with Katrena, this has been revolutionary for me. I think it's something I've done probably all my life, but not realized that I imagined a future. I went, oh, well, you know, when I leave school, I'm going to go to university, and then I'm going to get married, and then I'm going to have children. And that's exactly what I did. Now, you know, you could argue that, well, actually, I had quite a blinkered vision of what I wanted, but I was able to create that. It occurred to me just very recently that the life I'm living now, I also imagined, I visioned. And so we can create, we co-create with the universe. And we do that by declaring our intentions. And Katrena has encouraged me to think big, that we're not going, you know, just going, oh, well, you know, I'd like to, please may I have. Katrena, I'd love for you to share how you work with mission statements.
Yes, so the mission statement is very different from the vision statement in the way I use it. So the vision statement is something that you would say out into the world. It's public, and the mission statement is private. It's something between you and your yourself, really, because it is often the way I do it. It's around money, and we come into this world, and money issues are a massive issue that I see with women. They come with a lot of baggage around money. So I get them to do this exercise on purpose, because I get to have the deep conversation around money, self-worth, self-value, and all of that sort of stuff. So what I do with them is we create a mission statement, and it's something like to create a sustainable what. You take that from your vision statement. You're creating an educational platform, blah, blah, blah. A business that delivers what per annum, and put a figure on it so that the universe knows what to deliver to you through various income streams, revenue streams. So in fact, I don't get my clients to do this in hard work. I actually give it to them. So here is the mission statement done for you: to create a sustainable global education platform, and you can change that up, that delivers year 1, year 2, year 3 through books, ebooks, keynote speaking, training events, including retreats and workshops, coaching, mentoring, mastermind groups, online programs, and affiliate programs, or whatever. I'll just stop sharing right now, and I'll send that through on the chat so you can see it in more detail. But that's the kind of mission statement we end up with. Now, you can see that that's private information. Nobody else needs to see it, but it's very specific. You're telling the universe exactly what it is that you want. And through, I like to work with about 6 or 7 revenue streams. In the first year, they might do, say, 4 revenue streams. You know, you'll get the book done, you'll get the keynote speaking done, you will get your signature program done so that you'll be able to run various training events, and you'll have your coaching / mentoring revenue stream and working with people one-on-one. So that's the kind of thing that will be in the workbook. You'll get the workbook, so you'll see it there. But I just want to show you that the vision statement is what you tell the world, and the mission statement is what you tell yourself. And it's just between you and the universe. So go wild, and you're trained to not want much. you're trained to say, I just want to replace my salary or anything like that. In business, it's not worth just replacing your salary, because in my view, you just get given a fish at the end of every week. Here's your fish, here's your fish, here's your fish. You become very institutionalized. Whereas when you get the entrepreneurial spirit and you start a business, it's got to be way more than just that fish. Otherwise, it's not worth the hassle, to be honest. So you've got to ask for a little bit more, because there's a whole bunch of extra stuff you have to do that not similar to your job. Does that make sense? So that's why I want that figure to be bigger, because you've got to say what will make all of this hassle worth it. And I love the hassle. Whereas when you're first starting out and you're on that strong learning curve, it's got to be worth your while. Otherwise, just go and get a job at McDonald's. When I work with a lot of small business people, they're bringing in such a small amount that it's actually better for them to go and get shifts at McDonald's. They would earn more when they actually break it all down. So that's why we have to go big. And then what I do with my clients is I bring it down to show them what those figures look like. And in the workbook, you'll see what that looks like as $1 million model on one page. And you'll start to see, when you see the detail, you go, oh, okay, actually I can do that. And that's the whole point of details and plans and doing a proper business plan. But this is where we start. We have to start with the big picture. So over to you, Celia. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. I get excited about it.
It's all right. Well, I think, it leads on, because, in this next session, Katrina's going to talk about values. But for me, what happened when I started to look at my business and my lifestyle and meshed those two together, that's when things started to make sense. You go, oh, I am living it's not like this is my business and here's my life. This is how I'm living. I'm not going to work. I'm living this lifestyle, which is also my business. And that's what becomes exciting, I think. And I like to think about this in terms of actually connecting with our spirit. We are creating a heart-centered business, a spirit-led business, a spirit-led lifestyle. Maybe you don't want to have, maybe you don't want to just go all out on business, but you want to be doing a part of your life to be in alignment. Is the work that you're doing in alignment? This is why I left my job, because I realized I just got to that point when the work I was doing wasn't reaching my heart anymore, wasn't connecting with my spirit. And so for me, when I still get downloads. In fact, just this very week, I talk about connecting with my spirituality. What is my business? My business is the garden party. And I started to see how my business is actually it's just a garden. It's just a garden. My business is just a garden. I use that word just. Because, there's just so much symbolism. I started to see that, there are jobs that I need to do in my garden that maybe, I go, oh, I've got to do that. I find that quite difficult. I find that challenging. And that is business. And there will be things that you get to do in business or in life that are not the things that you choose to do first thing in the morning. But there's so much of the garden that gives you pleasure that you go, oh, you know what? Yeah, I do need to prune that back, because it's that will allow my overall garden to be more beautiful and to be more pleasurable. So for me, it's thinking about what is important to me at a soul level. And when we can start to bring those aspects into business, Katrina, you'll explain better than me the sort of the idea of this blueprint of our personal values and our business values.
Yeah, so the next thing we do is your values, and the values is so critical because it is your blueprint for happiness. And I'd like to do it in two parts. I like to do your blueprint for happiness in life and your blueprint for happiness in business, and then we make sure that they're linked. We make sure that they're actually congruent with each other and that they come together. Otherwise, what happens to most people in business is they set up a business on somebody else's values, and they wonder why business is miserable or awful or hard or horrible, because it's not aligned to their personal drivers and their business values. So I like the personal drivers and the business values to be working alongside of each other. And then that makes it really easy to coach you, because what happens is I can say, from a scale of 1 to 10, how is this value for you right now? And once you've done this exercise, you'll actually see why you're not satisfied with your life, why you're not satisfied with where you're at, is because you're not aligned to your values. So let's get started. 2 pieces of paper. One is your business values, one is your personal drivers. And we'll start with the business first. I want you to write there, what's important to you about business? And then on the life one, I want you to go, what's important to you about life? And I will just show you a bit of a cheat sheet so that you can actually start to steal some of these values. It just makes life easy. So here are the sample list of core values. Can everyone see that to a certain degree? Katrena, is that readable? Yeah. Okay, great.
I love the cheat sheet, because sometimes we get so stuck, we go, well, I don't know what's important to me. But if you sort of read through and we talked at the beginning about where you get that body reaction, when you read that word, you go, oh yes, that matters. And you go, no, some of them don't, and that's okay.
So the first person to get 5 of their values down, I will work with them live right now to determine their blueprint for happiness. Awesome. So the sooner you get through this, the better. And Celia, will you watch the chat for me, because I can't see it?
Yep. I've got the chat. So
there it is. I can see it. And just quickly pop up your hand to say, I'm ready for Katrena to test my values. So grab your top 5 values. Oh, yes. Sorry, I thought that was somebody's.
No, that was me.
I was like, that was quick. And Katrena Hardy has done this exercise. Desiree's done this exercise with me before. So feel free to go and grab yours from the Dropbox. And I'm happy to show people if you are.
Yeah, if you want to pop your hand up. Or give us a wave.
Yes. Okay, Tracy's waving at me. Fantastic. Tracy, take yourself off speak off the mic.
Hi there.
I'll look it up for everybody else. Tracy, what are your values, and in the order that you think? So number 1 value for you is what, Tracy?
In business, it's consistency.
Great, consistency. And then your second one?
Steadiness.
Steadiness. How is that different for you for consistency?
Steadiness is that it's just really secure and with a really strong foundation.
Okay, fantastic. I get the feeling. What's the third one?
Real.
Get real, yeah. Number 4?
Creative.
Great. And number 5?
Fun.
Great. Okay, so now I'm going to test them. So consistency is more important than steadiness?
Yeah, because it makes it very real.
Great. So steadiness is more important than real?
I think that gives a feeling of security.
So being real is more important than creativity?
I think it makes it authentic.
And creativity is more important than fun.
Definitely, for myself and for whoever's involved with me.
Okay, so what's going on here, guys, is see how she's justifying her values to me. Well, she's probably just processing out loud, actually. She's not really justifying it, but you know what I mean. So when I test them, quite often they don't come out. You put down what you think, but once I test them, it all gets messy and it all gets moved around. And what we end up with, once I can say that, so consistency is more important than steadiness. Steadiness is more important than real. Real is more important than creativity, and creativity is more important than fun. The minute I can say that and your body doesn't respond badly, we know that they're your actual values. Now we have to build a business on those values. Otherwise, she'll never be happy. So if she doesn't feel like she's being consistent, then she feels shit about herself. If she hasn't stayed the course, stayed steady, doesn't feel secure at all times and hasn't got a good foundation, then she's not going to be happy. If she can't be real, with her clients and she can't be real with herself, she's not going to be happy. And if it's not creative on some level for her, she's not going to be happy. And if it's not fun, she's not going to be happy. So if you build a business on those 5 things, Tracy will be happy. You guys won't be, because they're not your values in business. And then what we do is her personal drivers, and then we make sure that they relate to one another. And you often find some of those, like, for example, I'm just going to guess, Tracy, but I reckon security would come up in her personal drivers. I would just guess that it would. So as long as, can you see how I can link that back to the value, the business ones? So that's how we do values. Not going to spend a heap of time on it today, but you get the idea, and I'm going to give you the cheat sheet. So you'll be able to do it from the workbook, and I want you to come down in the workbook. You'll be able to do your 10 values. 10 values come down to 5 values. And really, we draw a line under the top 3, and that's what makes you happy. The top 3. The unconscious mind hasn't got time to run through 10 values. The unconscious mind only takes the top 3 and determines whether you're happy in the moment or not. So just bear that in mind. There's a bit of a trick to this activity, and I want you to do it. I want you to know your blueprint for happiness, because that's the kind of business you need to build, not something that will make you miserable.
Awesome, thank you. Oh no, I don't want to do that. I want to do that. There we go. The other thing to say is, I mean, having got your value, you go, oh yeah, this is what's important. The times when I love that we're going to talk about going through the mill. We're going to talk about the times when things are not, when we feel challenged, when we feel a bit overwhelmed. What I now have is another tool, because I can go back to my blueprint for habit and going, oh, I'm not doing this. I remember talking to Katrena last year and going, I'm not teaching anybody. And you go, oh right, or I'm not creating. And so, for me, business is the greatest self-development program that you will ever do. And as we said at the beginning, I have a fair share of my certificates to go. It's all about growth and development, and of course for me, growth is actually one of my drivers. And I want to be growing. My word for this year is expansion, which is proving quite challenging. I did have a little discussion with my guides at the start of the year to say, are you sure? Because I wasn't sure I wanted expansion, but it's that growth piece. It's exponential learning. It really is. And I talk about going through the mill as finding your resilience, finding your, we go back to that strengths piece. And Katrena's done a lot of work with me this year about that self-care and the self-soothing, which is all the, it is a business mindset, but I think it's mindset for life. Whatever we're doing, learning and understanding that I have the responsibility for my well-being rather than somebody else doing it for me. I actually work with corporate clients talking about resetting yourself from stress, getting employees to say, oh, you mean my company isn't going to sort out my well-being? And that has been quite transformational for me to say, oh, you know what, I am the employee. I'm also the HR department. I also am my own manager, and I get to have all of these different hats. And sometimes my HR department says to me, you know, you need to rest. Are you resting? You know, go home. And you go, oh, you mean that even if I've got a business, some days you get to say, if, yeah, I've had one or two when I've gone, if I was still employed, would I go into work today? And if the answer is no, then you go, so why, you know, as Katrena said earlier, we do this because we want something different, not just to reproduce going out to you know, to work and having a regular job. That for me was key. But then I'm that's my rebellious piece that is coming in. So in Garden Party, we talk about the tools of resilience, and in business mindset, Katrena will share, you know, some of the things she's coached me on this year. Some of those tools.
Yes. So first of all, I've got a few philosophies that are going to help you that I've picked up in my hundreds of people that I've worked with over the last sort of 25, 30 years of doing this. And the first one is self-doubt. What I find is most people are trying to stop self-doubt. And I want you to just stop trying to get rid of self-doubt, because the minute you do, you become an arrogant son of a bitch and nobody likes you. So self-doubt is actually a very good mechanism inside our bodies, and it keeps us very grounded, and it keeps us really evolving and getting better and better and better and better. But what it can do is stop you altogether. So if self-doubt is so crippling that you're not doing anything, you're not creating anything, you're just being miserable and you're not doing anything, well, that's got to be worked on. But you don't want to get rid of self-doubt. Self-doubt is a really, really good tool. That's how I know that something needs to change, that I want something, I desire something. Otherwise, if you didn't have that and you just felt happy all the time, you'd never change anything. So self-doubt is a wonderful tool. You just have to learn how to use it in a really positive way rather than letting it just stop you and you never do anything. The next one is self-soothing, which Celia's already touched on. You've got to be able to self-soothe through the journey. Otherwise, there's going to be things that every time you turn on Facebook, you're going to be triggered. You know, you're always going to be looking at somebody that's doing better than you. And if it's really crippling, then turn it off. You know, unsubscribe from people that make you feel bad about yourself. This is just terrible. That's what we tell our children. Why would you not tell yourself? So especially in this early phase, it's very easy for women to talk themselves out of everything, and they can't talk themselves into anything. And so whatever you're being triggered by, stop it so that you can make good decisions based on your values, based on your strengths, and based on the vision that you have for yourself. So self-doubt, self-soothing, self-confidence. Most of my training is always built around building women's confidence. So everything I do as a business mentor is to layer in another layer of confidence. And confidence is three things. Just everybody draw a triangle and write confidence in the middle, because everyone talks about confidence, but nobody ever tells you what it's made up of and the structure of confidence. So let's have a look at it now. The first point of the triangle, I want you to write self-belief. the second point of the triangle, I want you to write self-value. And on the third point of the triangle, I want you to write self-assured. Now, if you're confident on an issue, you believe you can, you believe it adds value, and you've done it well enough to get good at it. So you're assured. So now what I want you to do is use this model to self-coach. So anytime you declare that you're not confident on something, then I want you to go, do you believe you can? Like, do you believe that you could be good at it one day? Do you think it adds value to your life, your business, your career? And have you practiced it enough to get good at it? And practice, I often mean 3 times. Have you done it 3 times? And by then you're a bit like, nah, I can do that. All right, so give me something that you're not confident on. First one in the chat, I will do some live coaching right now. What are you not confident on? Give me something to work with here. Great. Marketing. April's not that confident with marketing. Marketing is one of those things where it's very ongoing. Just when you get it and just when you're sorting it out, it changes. And we've just recently had ChatGPT and AI come up now in marketing. So now everyone has to shift towards this new way of marketing, a new way of thinking. So that's a good one. So April, do you want to just take off your mic so I can hear you? And April, I'm just going to coach you for a second. Do you believe that you could be good at marketing?
Yes.
Great. Now, did everyone hear the tonality there? Did you hear the definitive yes? She said it quite quickly. She said it quite determinedly. Can you hear the attitude, the tone? And that's what I'm hearing. I'm not worrying about what she says. It's how she says it is what I'm looking for. Great. So self-belief is not the problem here. Now, do you think getting good at marketing these days in business is going to add value to your life? I mean, it's a
Absolutely.
question. Yeah. Okay, great. So can you see there, we're all laughing. It's funny. It's a definite yes from April, and it's a definite yes from me. Now, how much effort have you put into getting really self-assured around it?
Some. I feel like there's all like I never know enough, or I never know the right thing. Or
okay, can everyone hear the hesitancy in the tone? Can you hear the hesitancy there? So what I would do as her coach is I would not worry about self-belief, not worry about self-value. I would just focus in on getting her more self-assured around what she does know, what she does like, and we would just get a marketing plan together, really. And I would get rid of a whole bunch of the clutter, because I bet you she's like everybody else. And it's like, I have to do everything. Whereas I just wrote a book on digital marketing with a client. So I know everything about digital marketing today. And one of the big things I learned writing that book with her was that don't do everything. Just pick a lane, pick a thing, and get really good at that. And that's what I've done with my marketing over the years. I built social media slowly. Then when I built that, I went and built LinkedIn. I've now built LinkedIn to 18,000. Now I'm turning my attention to Instagram. So I didn't do all that in one go. I just did it in chunks. And so anyway, you get the idea about confidence, guys. You now know the structure. Thank you, April. We now know how to self-manage yourselves, self-coach. And you'll find that if it's belief, then often you need to remove a limiting belief. So we dial up the self-belief sometimes, and other times I'll dial up the self-value, like I'll show you where the value is in learning that. And then once I increase your motivation and increase the value of that item, then suddenly you're more motivated to learn it or focus on it or get good at it. All right, so just a good note for Celia and I right now. We're offering you all a free discovery session after this. So just bear in mind, anything we've asked you to do, any exercises we've asked you to do, we can go deeper with you personally one-on-one. So just get ready for that. Some people are going to want to discuss their values with me, their vision, their mission, or their confidence issues. And their limiting beliefs. So feel free to discuss any of that with Celia and I. You can either have a free discovery session with Celia, or you can have one with me, or you can be really generous with yourself and take both and see what happens. Woo! Can't get more generous than that. Anyway, Celia, I think that's enough for the moment about this business mindset. There's so much I could say. I could spend 3 days just on business mindset, but there are a few top tips, especially that I see in women over the last 25 years.
I think for me, one of the key tools that comes up in the whole, the business mindset is being willing to do the inner work. If how I have grown this year is really by, when something has come up, when that self-belief perhaps has popped up, it's right, well, that is being given to me as a shadow. This is what I get to go and dive into. And actually one of the real blessings this year is that I've had the time to do that. So when I am aware of something, whether it's a self-value or self-belief of, I'm going, oh my goodness, have I done this before? And you go, oh, actually, how can I dive in? Now I turn to creativity. In the resources we're going to give you at the end, there's some beautiful exercises about painting within your shadow work. You get to paint mud, which really was one of the, it sounds that you go, oh, I was painting with mud only the other day, as a memory of a time when I had come out of depression. Well, I was probably still I was coming out of depression, and I discovered creativity. And I was able to mix paint. I didn't want to paint roses. I don't want to be all, all beautiful and lovely colours. No, my roses were all the muddy, mucky colours. I painted the lotus. And again, I painted it in mud, muddy colours, because we get to do the work with shadow in a fun and creative way. When we're navigating those challenging times, which is where we get to grow. No mud, no lotus. That's something I think we've all heard that phrase. I appreciate the nurturing, nourishing value of mud. If you put your hand up, if you've ever had a mud face pack, if you've ever been, when we went to Turkey, went to mud baths, and it was that, oh, actually, this is really fun. This is fun and creative. And so I can get to work with that mud. So, that for me, on that mindset piece, is we get to do the work, and we get to do that in a creative way. We look at limiting beliefs, because until we cleared those limiting beliefs, and it's ongoing, I don't know how many layers of onion of limiting beliefs I have cleared this year. I have lost count, because that's the growth piece. That is the expansion piece, which is fun. I think the other thing I want to touch on is that this community, this idea of being in circle, of connecting. I certainly went through a time when I felt quite lonely, but to talk to other women who are experiencing a similar journey has been really supportive. So that's what I wanted to add in there. And the other piece, what Garden Party addresses around mindset is all to do with sovereignty, and being able to make being the ruler of your own life, making those decisions. That for me has been empowering, even though at the same time you're going, oh, you mean I've got to make the decision? Because nobody else is going to make the decision for me. But ultimately, that having sovereignty, being able to make those choices, is just, has been the best thing ever. And of course, when your business is in alignment with your personal values, then those decisions become easier. What else I wanted to say in that piece? Having, when you look back at those resources, just glance back at that start of the journey that we did together. I realized when I did a similar exercise that I needed help. I needed help. I needed somebody that would be able to coach me, would be able to say, oh, well, it's easy, because actually, you know, here, have a cheat sheet, have something, you're not starting from scratch. And I think that's the piece about being willing to invest in yourself and connect with somebody who's on the path and has been on the path before you. That was really supportive for me. Well, I want to take a little bit of a longer time. We're actually on track. Katrena will be amazed, because she always says I go down garden paths and tend to wander. But I talk about the power of the written word. Now, when I've been journaling, you can just, you know, pop a hello or pop a yes in the chat if you are a journaler. I write morning pages, and I remember thinking, oh, I've got to, let's go marketing. Let's go with April's marketing. You mean I've got to write all of this? But I don't know. I'm not very good at writing. And I go, hang on a minute. I write every morning. So it's that, but it's just seeing it in context. So for me, journaling as part of my daily practice has been a lifeline, really, because it allows me to anchor in to what my soul is wanting to express. You know, because if you do go into business, you're going to be writing blogs and emails and marketing and all of that. I also use writing to vision. That's just the way that I get a lot of my information. Is I will drop into, I put some theta music is my favorite, and again, that's going to be in the resources for you, where you're actually accessing a different wavelength of your brain. You can drop into that and then write, and that helps me with my visioning for my business. Katrena, do you want to share about, I mean, I'll tell you the scariest thing I have had to do with Katrena, and that was write my bio, and then think about an avatar. I don't know if we've got time to just talk a little bit about that, how you approach that.
Yes, the next step I like you to do is write your biography. And the reason I want you to do it is we're layering in another level of confidence, a way of you messaging who you are and what you stand for. So when somebody reads your bio, they go, oh, right, that's the teacher for me. That's my net. When the student is ready, the teacher appears, and there she is as my guide. So when you write your bio, I want you to feel really uncomfortable. If you don't feel sick in the stomach and you want to do a bit of vomit in your mouth, you're not doing it right. It means you're being too humble and modest again. Because if you write it like you're in love with yourself, write it like you really understand your strengths. And the way I get you guys to write it is go and find other people's bios and use them as sentence structures. So one of the ones I wrote when I first started was I found this incredible bio by this speaker, and it really resonated with me, not because of who she was or whether I was ever going to work with her, because she was a speaker. It didn't really matter. But what I loved was the way the bio sounded, and my heart's desire burst forth and said, I want to be that. So I wrote Katrena Friel. I changed my name into her bio. Katrena Friel is one of the brightest minds in training and coaching today. I did that before I even started my business. And the rest of the bio I wrote based on her bio. And I want you to do the same. So go and find all these sentence structures. If in the workbook I'm going to give you, you'll see about 3 or 4 versions of my bio that you might want to take and use as a sentence structure or a base. And you can go on to speakers' bureaus. You can go on to other people's websites and see. You're not looking to copycat it. What you're looking for is sentence structures. Can you hear? Brightest mind in ... today. Can you see that? It's a sentence structure. And so I grew into that. I wasn't the brightest mind in training and coaching today when I first started. I haven't even done it yet. But what I did like was I wanted to be that. So when you write it, I want you to be quite aspirational so that the universe knows what you want to become. And that's why I call my business Becoming the Expert. It's because you are becoming and you're going to do all the work to become that thing. Makes sense? And so when you first write it, you're going to feel uncomfortable. It's not congruent. You haven't earned the stripes yet, but write it and feel uncomfortable. Really push yourself out of the comfort zone. Really dare to say what your heart's desire is and write it from that perspective. And that way you're doing the exercise properly. If you just write something bland and boring and here's all, I've got this certificate and that modality and this certificate and that modality, boring. Clients want to know what that will give them. So tell them what you will give them, not that you've got another certificate and 400 certificates. The thing about the personal development industry and the spiritual development industry is everyone has about 20 certificates. So it's not about modality. Do not lead with your modality. Lead with the outcome the client will get. That's the key here. So I'll get off my soapbox about biography, but it is a wonderful, important exercise to do and gives you a lot of understanding about who you are and what you really want to become. Over to you, Celia.
Yeah. I think it's, I mean, I'm always, it always touches me. I always get a body reaction when I'm on a podcast or I'm on a summit and the host goes, oh, I'm going to introduce Celia, I'm going, you know, this is, and they read my bio and you go, oh yeah, that's what I, oh yes, that's what I do. And when you get that reaction to your own words, then I think, you know you're getting somewhere. And
Celia, it's read out now and you're congruent because you've done the work. When you first wrote it, it would have been like, oh my God, how dare I? Because remember, we're so humble and modest.
Yeah.
Well done us for being so humble and modest and, you know, daring to say that we're good at something. Now, I remember the day when I first walked out on stage and they read out that bio. Katrena Friel is one of the brightest minds in training today. And I came on stage clapping myself, going, wow, she sounds amazing. And then I learned how to use it actually as my first joke, my first laugh that I get when I come on stage. So it's not all about being serious. It's about saying, look, guys, I've got your back. I can do this and you'll be safe with me if people were to work with you. Otherwise, what's the point of having a dull and boring bio? Terrible.
I think I remember meeting Katrena and listening to one of her workshops and her webinars, and going, oh yeah, I know that I'm, well, actually I knew that I was going to be working with Katrena. I didn't know how or when, but I knew I would. And then she started, she then said, and then you're going to write your book. And I've still got the journal entry when I went, really? Because I didn't understand I thought, well, I don't need to write a book. And Katrena will perhaps share with us in a moment about the importance. But for me, right, this little baby here made me realize and helped me see how my story is unique, and everybody that's here has a story, and your story is unique. Your journey is not the same as anybody else's. And when we start to look at who we're going to work with, you resonate, you broadcast a frequency. The garden party broadcasts a frequency. And I talk about your deepest wound is your greatest medicine. And when I start to then share with people what my deepest wound, I am amazed at how many people have had the same experience as me. Well, my guides say you can be surprised, but don't be, you can be amazed, but don't be surprised. You know, of course, because this is what I'm talking about. And then the people that you are calling to you are going to be easy to work with, because you understand them and they understand you, because you're on the same wavelength. I love Katrina's got some notes here, and it's that, you know, it's the confidence building, and it's huge. It's huge. I'm going to hand over to Katrina, because I'm going to get all emotional.
Well, the avatar is going to be very likely in about, I think it's the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're going to be working with people who are you. You are your own avatar. And when we say avatar, we mean ideal client. We mean who would make you happy based on your values, based on your strengths, that you would want to work with. Because I've worked with people that I don't like, and it's miserable. So one of the things you will learn in business is you'll get a shitty client that you don't like, that doesn't do the work, that doesn't go anywhere with it, that maybe doesn't even pay their bills on time, whatever. You'll get those ones and you'll learn your lesson, learn it quickly. But that the avatar is the crux of your happiness. You have to be able to build a business that you're happy to work in every day. You don't want it to be filled up with clients that are a burden and a drain energetically to you. So doing the avatar work is so important. Who do you want it to be? And if you write something like, I want single mothers on a pension with no money, then that's going to, you know, as a business mentor, I'm not going to agree with that avatar. You want somebody perhaps that's working, that has a job, you know, that has an income, that can afford your services, that sort of thing, rather than somebody that can't. So, you know, avatar work is so deep. We do spend a lot of time on it, don't we, Celia? Really working out who is your ideal person that can benefit from your story, that can benefit from your experience, can benefit from your medicine that you've now put together in a business to offer to the world. I like to think of it putting your medicine on the altar of humanity. That's what business is. You're putting your medicine on the altar of humanity. That's on the front of my book, on one of my books. Anywho, avatar. So what I want you to do is just a very quick exercise. I'm not going to do it with you now, but I like to get Otter, or, you know, talk into one of those transcription things. Does anyone, do you want to just type that in, Celia? Otter.ai. Download it for free, talk into it, record yourself, and it types up what you say, and then you can edit that later. But the avatar exercise is, I want you to get right in under the skin of your person, right in on their pain. I want you to say, hi, my name's Katrena, and I'm lying here wondering what's next for me. I'm lying here going, do I need another certificate? Do I need another modality? Will that make the big difference? It can't. I've got 20 certificates. I'm lying here at night going, when am I going to start my business? Can you see? Like, talk in the first person. Say it like you know this woman, you know this person. And that's what you do when you're designing your avatar, is just get first draft out. And I know Desiree and Katrena, they've done that exercise with me. Celia, you've done this exercise with me. Yeah. It's a wonderful exercise where you often look at it and go, shit, that was me 10 years ago, or shit, that was me 5 years ago, or shit, that's me now, whatever. It doesn't really matter, but it's determining who the universe is going to bring to you. One of the big problems you've probably had in the past is you say, I can work with anybody. I can help anybody. And the universe is going, holy shit, who do I send them? All right, I'll just send you this random weirdo person that's not even, you don't even like. So that's why you've got to get very specific about who you want to work with, who you can help. and whether you want them in your life or not. Because I work with people for 12 months. So I've got to like them. I've got to enjoy it. And I only select people. I only sort of close sales with people that I want to work with. And Celia has brought me such joy to my life, such light to my life. We are now friends, and we're now in each other's life, and we're at that point now where she's off, she's flying, she's doing her thing, and she's got, in my 25-year history, she's got the biggest day rate in my history, including myself. And it just blew my mind when she did that sale. I was like, oh my God, okay, the bird has left the nest. Goodbye. Good luck to you. Fantastic. And now she just has to rinse and repeat. But what happens is now the bird has left the nest. Now we group as equals. Now we're colleagues. Now we do things like joint ventures together where we want to play, because if we didn't have this joint venture, we wouldn't have an excuse to come and play. And we want excuses to play. So, you know, it's wonderful to know who your avatar is. And Celia has 2 avatars. One is the corporate woman. So she's got to break down her avatar around the corporate teachers that are working for the man, you know, working in the education system, who are burnt out and over it. That's one of her avatars. And the other avatar is going to be people that have got all the certificates, they may be semi-retired or whatever, and they are looking to start their business now and looking to start with, well, what's next? What's my sole purpose? Why am I here? So she's got sort of 2 markets that she can really work for, and the universe is cool with that. You can have many markets. That's not a problem for the universe, but the universe wants to know who to send you, energetically who to send you, because it takes millions of years to move those chess pieces into play. So every time you get a client, I want you to think of it like the miracle that it is. It is 1 billion to 1 that that person landed in front of you. To me, it's such a big responsibility that I always thank the universe for the beautiful souls that it's my job to help. There's enough people out there for everyone to help. But I love my people. And when somebody gets put in front of me, like Katrena, Desiree, Celia, I take it so seriously. It's like, oh my God, thank you, universe. It will be my great honor to serve these people, no problem.
It's
and
such
that's
a
what I
beautiful
want
connection. And I think
Beautiful.
you know when there's somebody that you want to work with. You know, when you know, and I think, I mean, what's lovely is, you know, I want to talk about my next magical key, which is called being drunk on life. And you go, you know, this last year, that has been my experience. I'm not talking about the you know, drunk with you know, drunk on Prosecco, and that's not my thing anymore. I've stopped drinking. It's that, you know, being so full of joy of your life experience that it feels quite intoxicating. And that has been my experience of stepping into my soul purpose. You know, being able to listen on a daily basis and saying, right, okay, what are we doing today? We're not from you know, not somebody telling me what to do, but just being open and listening to that. And this really, as we reach this stage in the webinar, I'm looking out of my garden, and I've actually built a gateway in my garden now, because a portal is, you know, of that idea that you have a choice, that we have a choice point. And for me, that going through the gateway and making that decision was absolutely pivotal for me, at the point that I said, yes, you know what, I'm not going to say, oh well, one day I'm going to get out of education. I've been saying that for 2 years. I was saying I'm going to get out of it, and you go, even that language that I know that I was using makes me see and experience how trapped I felt in that life that I was living. And I'm going to talk about Katrena's favourite key of mine, a favourite because it made her do a lot of work, which is you are the bell. So I live in a town, and we put a little bit of context to this. I live in a town where bells are still cast. They are made. In fact, if you live in a town in the States where they have, a traditional bell, church bells, you could actually find out where that bell was made. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was made in this little town that nobody can pronounce called Loughborough. There is, if you've been to Malta at any point, the bell that is in Malta, the siege bell, was actually made by my husband, who's sitting through there. So, the bell is important to me. And I like to talk about the symbolism of bells, because a bell can wake you up. A bell is ringing to say, it's now is the time. It's time to wake up. Now is the time that you get to do what you want to do, what you're being pulled towards. It might be a celebration. We've had so many celebrations in this country recently with coronations and things, and the bells across the country ring out with that celebration. And I got the chills then. And you go, oh yeah, what are you celebrating? What do you want to announce? And I'd love to invite you to really lean into every courageous cell in your body and say, is there something that you want to declare in the chat? What's been an aha moment in this webinar, this workshop today? And it may be a challenge. It may be, oh my goodness, I need to do something about this. Because when you declare that, you get to be witnessed, and you get to be held, and you get to be supported. And just saying it out loud, the universe will hear you. And you go, oh, she wants to do that. She wants to do that thing. So the bell is a beautiful imagery. It can also be a warning. They used to ring the bell when convicts escaped and things, as a warning sign. And for me, I go, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what it is that maybe something isn't in alignment. Maybe something I'm doing is not one of my values. Let's just bring that back. So the bell is absolutely beautiful. So, be brave, be courageous. What do you get to do? Somebody said they want to finish. So see yourself as having visioned that book being completed. April, I declare, I love that. I declare. What are you declaring? I'm going to read some of these. Vision and mission statements. Finish writing a book. Isn't that, how many UFOs have I got, sitting around and going, oh, I'm going to do that one day. I read a beautiful thing on Facebook has very occasionally some nice sort of motivational. I've actually got I save them now, and I call it listening, because when I see something on Facebook, if it makes me go, ooh, I save it so that I can go, oh yeah, that is the universe talking to me. And it was along the lines of, if you've ever said one day, make one day today. So today, instead of one day I'm going to do, today I'm going to do the thing. And it's about celebrating how far you have come. Celebrate where you were this time last year. And where are you now? Because you will see how much your journey has actually changed and moved on. I talk about stopping to smell the roses, because it's something, and I love how why am I surprised? But I will often muscle test, because I use a lot of energy work in my work. I will muscle test what's going on for me at the moment, and I'll muscle test one of my keys. So there's 15, and I'll muscle test. And just recently, I have had celebrate how far you've come, stop and smell the roses, because we don't allow that integration piece. So I'm just reading more of these comments. Will own who I am. Beautiful, Laurie. I love that. April, what's the SEL for educators?
Oh, sorry. It's social emotional learning. It's a United States thing, I guess.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Social emotional learning. Yes. April, starting a movement. Go, girl. Absolutely fabulous. We have an invitation. I would love to invite anybody if sort of open it up to any questions and that. If you've got any questions, do pop them in the chat. If there's anything that you want to know more about. But somewhere I've got a beautiful PowerPoint, but it hasn't felt right to, because I think it's been so nice to be able to see everybody. But we do have an invitation for you to take that next step. I talk about, stepping into the garden. And we would love to invite you to come and have a longer opportunity for a one-to-one conversation. As Katrena said, it's with me or with Katrena, or you can book for both of us. So Katrena's just popped both links in the chat there. We would love you to go and just hop onto the website now if you feel that you'd like to have that longer conversation. Maybe it's sharing what came up with your heart, with that promise. Some of the exercises that Katrena's gone, oh, do this, do that, and you're going, oh, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on? You will get a replay of this workshop as well, so that you can listen to that in a little bit more leisure. I love that, Laurie. It's time to redo all the things you did a few years ago, be more clear and focused. Yeah, and I think that's, I was at that point of going, I just want to help. I want to help women, and you go, but you've got to, we get to narrow that down in a very positive, constructive way. As you find your niche, and you find your the people that the universe wants you to work with. Yeah, redo the values, redo the mission. Yeah. I will declare that, it's just hopped off. I will offer a series of creative journal sessions. Beautiful. That's Tracy. Fantastic. So do dive in to, hop onto the website now. Book. I've opened up. I've got a bit of a funny couple of weeks coming up, but I've opened up some weekend sessions, which I don't usually do, because I know that otherwise, and I've opened up some different time zones as well on my website. So I would love to see you there. Katrena, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I look forward to going through all your homework that we did today. So we'll start at looking at your SWOT. We'll determine your vision. The mission's already done for you pretty much. And we'll go through your values at this session with me, so that you can walk away being ultra clear, crystal clear on what the next steps are for you, and how it will manifest itself in, based on your values and based on your strengths. I can do it sometimes in 15 minutes. Within 15 minutes, these people have been often battling with who they are and what they want to bring into the world, what do they want to birth, and within 15 minutes I can nail it and blow your mind. That's what I aim to do. And same with Celia. Celia's so creative and using her keys. If anyone's read her book, you'll see that she's gone through the keys today. Actually, the keys that have guided us through the webinar are in her book, are in her philosophy, are in her signature program. So it's all based on those keys that we did today. So hopefully you feel like you're starting to shake off the dust and get moving this new financial year, this new energy that's coming through. We've got to do our work. We're here to put our medicine on the altar of humanity. that's our job, to do that. And you're here on this earth for some reason.
And the solstice has been
Your
huge.
expression.
There's a lot of different energies coming in. I was very blessed to be able to go and be among some very ancient stones at the time of solstice, which was pretty magical. I've put a cheeky little request in the chat there, and one of my expansions is that I am doing more on YouTube, and so I would love if you're able to follow me on YouTube. That would be awesome. I'm looking to so I put out I share my weekly create and listen on there. I've started doing that, so there's a few videos out there ready for you to watch, which are all taking my keys and just looking at what's coming up for me. Actually, I do it the other way around. I look at what's coming up, and then the universe says, oh, by the way, have you noticed that this is connecting with your spirituality? Have you noticed that this is grounded in gratitude? And then I've put the link there. There's a little thank you gift for coming from me, which is a resources page, which normally is only linked through the book. But I would love to open that up for you. I think when you click on the link, you have to sign in, but you just put in your email into the website. So it's a protected page, but you've got, if you want to know more about Cosmic Smash Booking, there's a whole thing on there. I use Cosmic Smash Booking. It's a creative process to get answers. I use it to process what is going on for me. So you're welcome to have a look at that. There's meditations, there's I can't remember all the different things on. I think there's even access to a summit that I did before Katrena got her hands on me and sorted out all my artwork and graphics. But
at the very least, you must do the meditation on the treasure chest. That's the thing to really.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, those I think are the
Celia,
two.
takes you on a journey. Yeah.
The two favorite ones I have are Find Your Magic Within. I still listen to that because every time you listen to it, there is more information. And Stop and Smell the Roses as well. And Katrena has popped a link in there for you to download her workbook. So what you have when you have educators involved is we always give you homework, don't we, April? But this is how you get to learn and grow is actually by doing the work. It's the full moon is out overhead, so it's sort of getting darker here, which feels quite cool. I'm just going to hop over onto gallery view so that I can see everybody. Do feel free to unmute. Does anybody have any questions? Anything? Any of the links not working? They should be all working.
Yep. And it's been our great honour today to serve you. And congratulations to all of you for taking this time to receive and taking this time to just be in your body, thinking about you for a change. It's just wonderful that you've given yourself this gift of time. And hopefully the exercises have been fun and got you thinking about what is your next step and how do you want to handle, or do you want another year to go by and for you to be sitting there going, oh, I didn't do anything again, another year's gone by. And that just hurts our heart, doesn't it, Celia, when another year goes by and then next week, we get clients saying, oh, I wished I'd done this 5 years ago. Oh, I wished I'd done this 2 years ago. It's like, oh my God, taking action is the absolute key to helping yourself. And we can't be more generous by giving you an hour of our time that we can never get back. And that discovery session so that you can discover a little bit more about yourself. And it's our great honor to serve, happy to serve. But as long as you guys are willing to, open up and do the work, do the action steps. Okay, so Celia, do you want to just lock it down, and then those that want to go can go, and those that want to stay for a chat can stay for a chat?
Yeah, that's perfect. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop the recording there, and then if anybody has got any sort of more